Let's communicate interplanetary hyperspace. Open up your mind. You will answer questions anytime.
Put the kids' pictures on the milk cartons, and they took them off. I contend, I don't know, I can't tell you why, I contend too many kids were being located through those milk cartons. Your federal government doesn't want you to find these kids, because your federal government, particularly the finders,
Yeah, before you believe something's true, hit pause and make sure you consider the reason it was made.
Of information have been centralized on computers. The Guardian's archives are only in one place. They're not in libraries all across the nation that people look for. They're only looked for on the internet. And because of copyright legislation, they're not copied elsewhere to other places on the internet. So when something disappears from the archives, the electronic archives of the West, to which all information is moving into, it is gone forever. It has not only ceased to have existed, it has ceased to have ever have existed. And when you go to those web pages that have been removed from Western papers, you won't see the tail lines. You will just see page not found. You won't see anything in the index at all. We are now approaching the state of Orwell's dictum, perfect dictum, that he who controls the present controls the past. He who controls internet servers controls the intellectual record of mankind, and by controlling that, controls our perceptions of who we are, and by controlling that, controls what laws and regulations we make in society.
Now, it is my theory that Joshua places the explosives in the building as it's being erected.
But I don't understand, Chief. How can he do that?
I don't know, but once the building goes up, it's too late to do anything.
You see, I've discovered your hollowed bricks, and I know how you blow up your buildings.
Ingenious as it happens to smart. Placing nitroglycerin inside the bricks and cementing them into designated areas of the building.
Yes, it is ingenious. A completed building, actually an explosive skyscraper, sitting right here in the heart of Washington, waiting to be...
Charge of the CDC that was controlling and telling our government to shut down small businesses and what they recommend for the mandates of the vaccines and Pfizer and all. At the time when COVID was being enacted, I'm going to read off the staff of who was in charge of this CDC. The director of the CDC was Rochelle Walensky, dual citizenship with Israel. She's a Jew. Deputy director of the CDC, Ann Shawalchik, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC chief of staff, Sherry Berger, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC chief medical officer, Mitchell Wolf, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC director of the Washington office. This is pertinent to the topic. We're talking about COVID, right? Yeah, this is pertinent to COVID. So, I love you, Jennifer. Yeah, please. So, director of the CDC of the Washington office, Jeff Resnick, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. COVID czar, Jeff Zaints, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. COVID senior advisor, Andy Slavitt, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Assistant of Health Secretary for Human Services for our country, The Assistant of Health Secretary, Rachel Levine, transgender, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew.
I ask that you hold off, Christopher.
Ma'am, I'm almost done.
Mr.
Pfizer.
Wood, the chair has ruled that your comments are out of order. She's asked you to stop.
How is it out of order?
The chair has...
You said Jew. There's nothing wrong with Jew. It's not derogatory.
Jeff. I liked it. Damn, you be throwing it up like this all the time? Matter of fact, now that I'm here, you gonna have to have that chopper come back and fly me back. I ordered a pizza from down the way. I'm gonna have to go pick it up. Could you have a helicopter take me back? Tell me this stuff. You be investing them niggas money and shit. What's up, bro? What you think you could turn my little 500 into? I've heard you be bringing niggas substantial returns. Figure out Pretty Epstein. Pretty Epstein, I'm gonna fuck around and get me an island. Fucking with you. Turn my 500 into a stack, turn that stack into 5, turn that into 10. You gonna flip that, Big Jeff? My nigga, you gonna flip that motherfucker. Who that? Them is little girls, what the fuck? Me and my BM, we gonna pitch in, right? I'm gonna give you her, she got 260. That's 760. If you can flip that, Pretty Epstein a bad motherfucker. Yeah, they look like they in like middle school, you sure? They of age, you sure? You lying, you said they 18 and up. I'm about to go ask him. I'm gonna ask Jeff. I'm telling you, that's the kid. She got a Nintendo Switch in her hand. Fuck wrong with you? You trying to tell me she 18 and up? How she 18 and up? What's wrong with you, Jeff? Call the helicopter. Hey, and I gotta go pick my pizza up. You on some bullshit, Jeff? Call the chopper up and I'm gonna take them little girl. We gone, nigga. We back to the state.
Here's the thing you need to know about witches. They're real. They're here. And they live amongst us.
Witches wear long gloves to their elbows. They don't have hands, they have claws.
Their nostrils are larger than most.
And they all wear wigs. And when they take the wigs off, they're all bald.
They don't have any toes.
They have elongated mouths that stretch to their ears. I have a plan that transforms those brats into mice.
Okay, here's what we do. Keep your eyes open.
Stay alert.
Carry on the fight!
What has a witch ever done to you?
The next time that somebody tells you the government wouldn't do that, oh yes they would.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had.
Hi, this is Dr. Pachenik. I want to talk about the Epstein pedophilia ring. What it really is a Mossad Israeli operative ring, which goes back decades and decades, all the way to the time even where the Liberty ship was attacked by Israeli planes, unmarked Israeli planes, during the Six-Day War, and Israel said they didn't do it. Well, that was a lie. Israel has not been our greatest ally. It's been our greatest enemy. They were also involved in 9/11 and the Standout Wall, for which this deputy confirmed that to me. Israeli Mossad operatives who I interrogated and threatened confirmed that to me, and I put away 2 Mossad operatives. The key to this Epstein problem of pedophilia is the fact that it goes back decades. Jeff Epstein was picked out by the Mossad as the proper agent of influence because, number one, he was grandiose. 2, he had some intelligence but came from a poor Jewish background, had no real education, did not speak a foreign language, and was so narcissistic that they could manipulate him up and down and create a false front for him, which involved the fact that he had multi-million dollars or multi-billion dollars. He may have no money. It's not even relevant. But to make sure that Jeffrey Epstein was working properly, they had an operative from the Mossad who was named Maxwell, the daughter of Robert Maxwell, one of the greatest crooks in the world, who was an Israeli Mossad operative. When he died in 1991, he was either killed or he died. He was one of the biggest contributors to Israeli national security of anybody else. So his daughter was the control operative of Jeff Epstein. At the same time, we had Nexium in New York City, which was run by a non-Jew named Renier, but controlled by 2 Jewish women, the Bronfman family. And they, in turn,
so strong with Jews worldwide. There is a, I mean, you know, I used to say early on when I was a kid, I'd say, when I was a young senator, I'd say, if I were a Jew, I'd be a Zionist. I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
The fact on the ground is Judaism is subservience to God. Zionism is a transformation to a base nationalism. It is totally contradictory. It is antithetical to this to our Judaism. The fact is, no matter what the Zionists or they're going to come with their intimidation or their whatever explanation, the fact is Judaism does not accept Zionism. It cannot accept Zionism. In every aspect of Zionism, it's contradictory. It is based on blasphemy. Secondly, in its actions, it's totally criminal. You're not allowed to kill or steal. In its essence, we're not allowed to have a state. But on top of that, being that they came to Palestine, they created the state by driving the Palestinians from the land. Yes, they started at the beginning buying land because the Arabs and Muslims knew that the Jews they just want to buy a piece of land. They didn't believe in the furthest thought that it could be that they want to aspire to create their own land. But so they then realized what they're doing, that they want to make their own state, so they stopped selling. So then the Zionists came with Der Yassin. Rabbi Beck told me, and those other rabbis, they cringed when they spoke about Der Yassin, how friendly the Arab and Muslims were, and beyond words, when the Zionists came in and murdered them, how as a Jew, how we felt. So the Jews around, as a Jew, we cannot accept the murder and the killing and the oppression and all the subjugation, everything that's what the Zionists are doing mentally and physically, how every person is maimed. If there's not a family that doesn't have a member somewhere that was not murdered, this is against our
We're all living in America. America ist wunderbar. We're all living in America. 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 We're all living in America. America ist wunderbar. We're all living in America. 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 Wenn getanzt wird, will ich führen. Auch wenn ihr euch alleine dreht. Lasst euch ein wenig kontrollieren. Ich zeige euch, wie's richtig geht. Wir bilden einen lieben Reigen. Die Freiheit spielt auf allen Geigen. Musik kommt aus dem Weißen Haus. Und vor Paris steht Mickey Mouse. We're all living in America. America ist wunderbar. We're all living in America. 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 Ich kenne Schritte dieser nützen und werde euch vor Fehltritt schützen. Und wer nicht tanzen will am Schluss, weiß noch nicht, dass er tanzen muss. Wir bilden einen lieben Reigen. Ich werde euch die Richtung zeigen. Nach Afrika kommt Santa Claus. Und vor Paris steht Mickey Mouse. We're all living in America. America ist wunderbar. We're all living in America. 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 We're all living in America. Coca-Cola, wunderbar. We're all living in America. 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 This is not a love song. This is not a love song. I don't sing my mother's tongue. No, this is not a love song. We're all living in America. America ist wunderbar. We're all living in America. 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 We're all living in America. Coca-Cola, sometimes war. We're all living in America. America. America.
though. I don't know. I don't change your perspective. I spoke. A nigga knows how I'm not. I am black. Don't be afraid. I am black. I am black.
This is not just about music. This is about addressing the injustices in our society. Now it's time to organize formally and bring into the halls of Congress the power and the transformative nature of hip-hop culture. Our goal is to make sure the hip-hop community has a seat at the table as we work on federal
A woman
policy.
claims that high winds blew cocaine into her purse. Kanisha Posey was in a car during a traffic stop in Fort Pierce in late March. During a search, the officer found bags of cocaine and marijuana in Posey's purse. Now, she told police that it was windy and the wind probably blew the bags through a car window and into her purse.
By the way, I'll just fucking out him. Jim Carrey called me up last week. I talked to him for 5.5 hours. He's like begging me to like get a deal with Q. Like he's afraid of the fucking brackets. I'm like, and it's just like yammering on with the crap, but like not owning up or doing anything fucking meaningful. Meanwhile, just lying to everybody. Guys, you are fucking cowards. You're going down. You're gonna fucking die. That's it. You're gonna die. If you ate kids, you're gonna fucking die. You can't get over that shit. That's a death sentence. You cannot fucking live. But what I'll tell you that you can do is possibly save your soul. You can save your soul, and I can help you save your soul. You will fucking die, though, so get over it. I know you all are afraid that you sold your soul, but I think you can get it back. You're gonna fucking die.
Light. You'll never find him this way. What time is it?
It's way too early for that.
Cue the sun.
Go any deeper. Yeah, I can. And it does. Now, you have to excuse me for not putting too much effort into this video, because personally, I don't think this is a conversation that most people are ready to have. But since you asked, let's see what you think about this. For entertainment purposes, of course, because I'm just making this stuff up. Alright, so Israel is a product of the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds belong to the House of Orsini. And in case anybody's confused, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, pretty much the same thing. Now the Orsini family runs the Vatican. The Orsinis ran things in Rome. So much so, they were considered a royal bloodline of the ancient Roman Empire. Now let me ask you this. What if Rome never fell? Instead it just turned into a religion. Alright, ready? So if Israel is a product of the Rothschilds belongs to the House of Orsini. Orsini is what runs the Vatican, and they're also the ones that have royal bloodlines to ancient Rome. We could all be watching the real fall of the Roman Empire. So back to the original question, can it go any deeper? Yeah, back to the 11th century. Stay safe.
John D. Rockefeller was raised by a psychopath. John D. Rockefeller, a name synonymous with immense wealth, had a tumultuous upbringing. Raised by his father, known as Devil Bill, he was no stranger to a troubled family history. Devil Bill, whose real name was well documented, was a notorious character, a rapist and snake oil salesman on the run from the law. He even changed his name to evade authorities. So John D. Rockefeller, one of his many sons, grew up in a family plagued by such dark deeds. But despite his troubled upbringing, or perhaps because of it, Rockefeller was driven to succeed. His father's mantra was to keep his sons sharp by cheating them daily, eroding their trust. This upbringing instilled in John D. Rockefeller a deep-seated distrust of others. Rockefeller's notoriety reached its peak when he faced a historic antitrust lawsuit for monopolizing the oil industry. This legal battle ultimately led to the breakup of his company, Standard Oil, but paradoxically, it made him a billionaire. His influence didn't stop there. He extended his reach into education, even funding universities. It was clear that Rockefeller had grand ambitions beyond selling oil. He aspired to shape the world. In fact, Rockefeller's influence extended to our education system, thanks to the Rockefeller Foundation. He had a strategic vision for education, to produce individuals just smart enough to work, but not too intelligent to question the system. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a historical fact that highlights the intricate web of influence Rockefeller wove, impacting our education.
Man who he said wanted to eat a child, yes, eat her, as in cannibalism. And that was just one of the shocking details we heard at that press conference this morning.
A knock on the door.
What's up, man? What's up?
Met by guys in green. 45 people arrested for being child predators, prostitutes, johns, human traffickers, and this.
A gentleman wanted a person brought to him that he could eat, physically cannibalize.
That was Justin Bensing, who also, according to this warrant, planned to kidnap a child and make her drink her own pee to get him off.
You want to talk about the depravity of humanity? Look at these people.
People like Assam Batros.
He took an erectile dysfunction pill before he got there. And then he injected himself with testosterone into his genitals.
All while thinking he was meeting a 14-year-old, like many of the people who knocked at this door.
So glad you don't. You're good. You're good, bro.
During the course of the investigation, a lot of people admitted that they knowingly had sexually transmitted diseases. And they were
you know, at one point you learn that you have to deal with what you have to deal with when the people in authority are not there to help you. And everybody is so worried about the elite. And we could give those names of Barack Obama, Joe Biden. We know about Michelle Obama, that's a man. We know about Too Short. We know about Akon and Steven Tyler. And we can give those names all day. And everybody is so worried about that. But what you should be worried about is the people that are in between, the people that go as low as your grave diggers. I was trafficked to people within my schools. I was trafficked in underground tunnels that link under your schools, through your cemeteries, under your amusement parks, through Universal Studios, and into Hollywood elite homes, all over the place, all over the world. And people don't understand that, and they can't fathom that, and they can't put that together. But if you think about the things that have come out lately, and there's 200 children missing, and there's 300 children missing. What Amber Alert did you receive? How many times do you receive an Amber Alert every year? And if you think about that, how many children are coming up in your face that have been tortured and abused like this? It exists and it's real, and people don't want to face it. It happens in your schools every day, as your grave diggers, your trash men. Everybody is involved, but everybody is looking at the top, and that's just a small percentage. And you really need to look at the people in between.
So the names that you just mentioned, Barack Obama, Steven Tyler, Joe Biden, Michelle Obama, have you had personal sexual experiences with these people?
Yes.
These people participated in sex abuse firsthand with you?
Yes.
Can you tell that story? Because that's important for people to understand and to know. And to this point, I don't think a national platform has given you the opportunity to say those things.
No, because everybody is complicit. Everybody is complicit. It is covered up by your local FBI. It is covered up by your local police department. It is underground tunnels. There's a whole world.
So in July of 2020, you came out on Instagram. You couldn't bottle it up anymore. You made claims about Barack Obama and Joe Biden that shocked the world. How did it get there? Take us through your story.
Well, you know, as young as I remember,
as we open the book of black magic, privately published in 1898, only 500 copies were printed. It contains the texts from grimoires or spellbooks to you and me. A grimoire is usually burned after the death of its owner. The author, A.E. Waite, was part of a secret magical society that included Arthur Conan Doyle and E. Nesbit. Waite is also famous for creating the most popular of all tarot decks. With this book, you can learn how to conjure demons and speak to the dead. Or perhaps not.
I think the election was a victory for good government. It might also be called a victory for propaganda. But that would have been equally true if our opponent had won.
But how can you study it?
Well, you can begin by investigating the techniques of propaganda. Here, I've listed some of the main ones. Glittering generalities?
What is a glittering generality?
That headline you were quoting, a victory for good government. Good government is a phrase we use many times during the campaign. We said the mayor stood for good government and promised good government.
But it's true, isn't it?
What's true? What does good government mean? Is the mayor's idea of good government the same as yours?
I see. It's a glittering generality.
One of the best.
There's another.
Yes. And why do you suppose our opponents chose that phrase?
I guess because everybody likes a real American.
Right. And they wanted to transfer that liking for a real American to Mr. Butler. A day or so after that poster came out, I said in one of my campaign speeches, our opponent advertises himself as a real American. I say he is unreal, unrealistic. He is a visionary, a theorist, a dreamer. He is so thirsty for public office that like a weary traveler in the desert, he sees a mirage, and he is trying to sell it to you as real. There. Now what would you call that?
That's name-calling, visionary, theorist, dreamer.
That's right.
Many of you may remember in February 1979, there was a big uproar because someone by the name of James Gutman applied for a permit to lead a march of Nazis through downtown Philadelphia. Now, eventually, some enterprising reporters did an investigation. You know what they turned up? James Gutman was none other than Mordecai Levy, who worked with the Anti-Defamation League and later split off that to form the Terrorist Jewish Defense League. This was an operation that was run by the ADL. They wanted to have a Nazi march in Philadelphia. Why? Because how can they raise money to justify their existence if American Jews don't think there's a lot of anti-Semitism? So what better thing to do than to slap swastikas on a couple of people, lead them on a march through town, and then the next day the ADL comes marching in and says, look, there are Nazis on the streets, you need to give us money so we can protect you. And then, on top of that, have a tax-exempt status. This was not a one-time operation.
Adjective. Cast or scattered widely in all directions. Broadcast. Adjective. Communicated, signaled, or transmitted through radio waves or electronic means. Broadcast. Adjective. Relating to transmissions of messages or signals through radio waves or electronic means. Broadcast. Adverb. Widely in all directions. Broadcast. Noun. A transmission of a radio or television program intended to be received by anyone with a receiver. Broadcast. Noun. A program, bulletin, documentary, show, etc. so transmitted. Broadcast. Verb. To transmit a message or signal through radio waves or electronic means. Broadcast. Verb. To transmit a message over a wide area, specifically, to send an email in a single transmission to a typically large number of people.
No other candidate for the presidency has ever had to pause his campaign to defend himself in multiple courts. And I would like to point out that in all 7 of his cases, no one doubts that he did these things. We're just sitting around patiently waiting to find out if the wheels of justice will grind fast enough for there to be any consequences. And the media is covering it like it's any other political story, like it's all horse.
The best present I've ever gotten in my life. So for backstory, we call each other Panda. He got us matching diamond panda necklaces. He got these custom made. This is his. And now we have our matching pandas that we can wear with us everywhere. I actually was like, what in the world? It kind of almost looks like Mickey Mouse, but then if you get it, you get it. And it's our panda. Pandas are in town.
Pandas are out.
Little sugar. Perfect. Now we got some Kool-Aid happening. Smooth.
Yikes. Before you tap share, hit pause. Finish the whole video and consider how it could affect others before passing it on.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait.
You already have a ring, but what would a win today be
Wait.
for you? What would that mean for you?
It
means a lot.
One ring is good. The second ring, especially in Philly, is legendary. When you get two, you kind of get into a whole other conversation. But it'll be special against my second. Okay. All right.
One ring is good, two is better. And we know that today you're facing off against the coach you drafted, Andy Reid. What were your emotions like when you saw him for the first time this week?
They were there. They were there, but at the same time, I know, we didn't have a business, I said before the game, after the game. Okay. It's always, I appreciate him. He gave me this opportunity to be where I am today. To bring me in, draft me as a young man, and, I'm happy for him. I know he's happy for me, and at the end of the day, we got to go in the battle today.
And Nick Sirianni, your head coach now, second year.
All right,
All right, Trav. Kill a Trav.
So this guy, I don't know his chief name or whatever, he's like a satire account. Patriots, Josh Young, a.k.a. the script keeper-elect, has been arrested by the White Hats near Hicksville, New York, and is being transported to Gitmo right now. Young is being charged with treason and attempting to have Q assassinated. Y'all are fucking... Hey, Phil, are you really upset? See, I thought this was corny. You want to see what the corniest shit in the world is? This would be the corniest shit in the world. Apparently, the Billboard launch has just enabled me to file a class action lawsuit against everyone who donated to the Give, Send, Go campaign. We're already drafting a subpoena to Give, Send, Go for the names of the donators. How do you capture an enemy? You set a trap. You were the dumbest fuck, bro. So, for all the people that stood up against pedos, tyranny, and everything else, treason, sedition, all the people that stood up against that. Do you remember that? I remember Canada doing it, the trucker convoy. They also did that over here. Do you remember when they shut their bank accounts off and they were just so mad, we're going to bring lawsuits against everybody and lock them up and put them in D.C.? No wonder you had a picture with this, your future POTUS. Little liberal-minded right there. Little Trump-hating on the low right there. Phil, you the corniest person alive, bro. Ew! I would enjoy these, okay? Look, I would enjoy your virtual reality because what you did to Bree, what you did to other people, what you did to, Pebbles, the salon owner, what you did to all your followers, scamming them and jamming them. Well, guess what, bro? You ain't gonna be able to get out of a virtual reality. You're gonna be stuck in it when you finally go to jail. And by the way, this is still happening. Nothing can stop what is coming, Phil. Phil, you're just so corny, man. Like, you were like that geek in school that, like, can I roll? Can I hang? Can I be down? 60 seconds on your popcorn.
Loaded on wrong and further far right, spinning around.
The Star of David, where does that symbol come from?
It's never written explicitly in the Bible itself.
Is it in the Talmud? Perhaps. Is there a passage in the Bible about that or no?
No.
Okay. So you're not really sure exactly where that comes from?
No. You got me.
Is it nobody knows,
Yeah,
huh?
I don't know. I'm not, yeah.
Because I know it's called the Star of David.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with David?
No, I don't think so. There must be somewhere. I do not remember exactly what the association was.
Okay. I believe that what they call the Star of David is actually the Star of Remphan. Because when you study the Bible, you'll see that when they worshipped other gods, the Bible talks about them carrying the banner of the star of their god Remphan.
You rejected the God of the Bible. You took up for yourself the star, that's the six-pointed star, of your God, called Remphan or Kiyun. All these were names for Moloch, the great Baal, the great fire god, who was the devil.
Beelzebub.
That's right, Beelzebub. And they were shocked about this. Now, who is this star god? If they only read the Old Testament, they would know this. In Amos, God said, you have taken up the star, and you've made me furious by doing that. And you have actually sacrificed your own children to the star god through the fires. They sacrificed their own children, the Jews did, to the star god.
When they worshipped a false god, they had the Star of Remphan as an icon and as a symbol. We never see a Star of David in Scripture, but the star of the false god Remphan. And so we know today that they are not worshiping the true God, because the Bible says, he that denieth the Son, the same hath not the Father. But he that acknowledgeth the Son hath the Father also. If the Jews do not believe on the Son, the Bible says they don't have the
Lady
Father.
Liberty, but little do they know, I'm no lady. I'm Lucifer, the light bearer, in female form. For centuries, I presided over New York Harbor, fooling mankind with my beacon of false hope. My crown's 7 spikes signify the 7 deadly sins I encourage all to indulge in. And my torch? It doesn't represent freedom, it represents leading men away from God into my sinister dominion. I was designed by French Freemasons to secretly pay homage to Satan. My creator, Frederick Auguste Bartholdi, envisioned me as the image of a pagan goddess. My steady gaze eastward towards the sunrise signifies Lucifer, the morning star. I stand tall, not to welcome immigrants, but to boast of the apocalypse I shall one day unleash upon humanity. Inside me swirls intense darkness, though my copper exterior shines bright. I represent the illusion of liberty, concealing the true depravity within. Foolish humans parade me as a symbol of their precious freedom without seeing my true nature. Little do they know, I move among them in human form, sowing discontent. Soon, all will bow before my master Satan as I bear the black flame of his enlightenment. So next time you behold my visage in New York Harbor, look closer. My beauty hides sinister secrets. I am no beacon of hope, but a vessel of doom. Fear not freedom, but me. Don't forget to follow for more enlightening truths.
First time right after 9/11 to cover the, all the bad things that were happening in this area, and now 23 years later, you come back to Dubai as a respite from all the bad things, as a sort of safe harbor from all the bad things that are happening around the world. So that is, I guess I'm old, but it's amazing to see that.
So I would say a good role model to the world.
Yeah, I mean, any city that's safe, clean, functional, doesn't have inflation, has great restaurants, people are nice to each other. That's kind of, those are what we call the table stakes. That's like the least you can do.
Behabi has made over $100 million. This video will explain it.
I'm gonna tell you guys a true story on how me and David Spade met. I was at my weekly Illuminati meeting. I was sitting next to Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Also, this makes my Beyonce and Jay-Z videos make a lot more sense.
And all of a sudden, my boy Spade walked in right after Drake walked in.
And my Drake video.
I was like, yo, Drake, move your little bitch ass somewhere else. I gotta talk to Spade real quick. And then we burned 2 truckloads of money and did some devil prayers. I sacrificed 4 goats, 3 chickens, and 1 sheep. And then we just, chopped it up, whatever. We was like, hey, be in this video, bitch. Then we went to catch, had some lobsters with chicken blood. I still have the t-shirt with the chicken blood on it. I think it's great.
Calm down, Doctor. Now is not the time for fear. That comes later.
Honey, it's about sending a message. Everything burns.
Es geht los!
As I was reading scripture, I came across something that blew my mind. The Bible tells us where Satan's throne is. In Revelations 2:13, it says, I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. And thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. So where was Antipas slain? And when you look it up, it takes us here. And when you Google where Antipas was martyred, it brings you to Geneva, Switzerland. It says the traditional account goes on to say Antipas was martyred during the reign of Nero by burning in a brazen bull-shaped altar at the Apollyon Temple in Geneva, Switzerland. And that, of course, got me to wondering, what exactly is in Geneva? Well, let's take a look. The CERN-Hadron Collider, for one, where they're trying to discover and replicate the Big Bang. And, of course, if I was the devil and wanted control over the world, I would be sure to bring all the world organizations to where I was, such as the United Nations. I might bring along the World Health Organization as well. And I would definitely want the World Trade Organization there. And I would definitely have Gavi there, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations. And you can't finance an empire without having the World Economic Forum in Geneva, Switzerland. And of course, I would have all the other organizations there,
33 international organizations. 33. Isn't there significance to that number? But I'll be honest with you, when I saw this today, it literally blew my mind. I don't even have words. But if you have eyes to see, the information is out there. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this content.
I cannot and will not accept the theory that long sequences of unrelated accidents determine world events. It is inconceivable that those with power and wealth would not band together with a common bond, a common interest, and a long-range plan to decide and direct the future of the world. I believe, therefore, that a grand game of chess is being played on a level that we can barely imagine, and we are the pawn. Those who have seriously studied history have probably discovered the real reason we go to war on a regularly scheduled basis.
How do you feel about this?
I'm doing fine. You're getting better now you're here. All right, give me a look over here, sir. Give me that great smile over here. Give me that Super Bowl. Give me that Super Bowl smile, sir. Give me that Super Bowl smile. You got more money on that necklace
Less than 5 months from now, we're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make America great again.
Thank you very much.
Diane Ronald Clinton.
That's my name. That's right.
War criminal. The people of Libya, the people of Iraq, the people of Syria, the people of Yemen, the people of Palestine, as well as the people of America will never forget.
Violating the university code of Rotterdam.
asking you to leave. The delegates will now escort you out of the building. Thank you. Can you? Sir.
Thank you so much.
Sorry about
Free Palestine!
Got this right. You got it? Okay, sorry.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Okay. Let me thank all of you for coming, because this
monitor
is
the media's lack of interest in the whole Maui story. I've been in this business for 30 years. I'm stunned, but I'm not surprised. The incident seems to be the story here, right? But the true story, the media knows it is not allowed to tell. Is it a coincidence that the Maui police chief is the same man who was in charge in Las Vegas during that massacre that killed 58 people? Is it a coincidence that the Maui property, owned by million and billionaires, it wasn't touched by the flames while homes of the locals all burned?
What she fails to also mention is how the media hasn't even once interviewed a grieving parent. Not a single parent looking for their children. Not a single interview with a child. Not a single interview with the schools.
Was it a coincidence that the largest system of outdoor emergency sirens in the world never made a sound as the fire devoured Lahaina? Was it a coincidence that at the same time, very same time, all the water was turned off? Was it a coincidence that police were ordered to block off streets and to funnel all the cars trying to escape? Think about this coincidence. That governor also signed an emergency proclamation on July 17th, 3 weeks before the fire, about housing of all things. Is it a coincidence that the government put up a black fence around Lahaina, or that the FAA grounded all drones from flying over the affected areas? Is it a coincidence that since at least 2011 there have been plans to make Maui the first smart city run by 100% renewable energy, and that it must be a coincidence then that the locals whose homes did not burn are now being evicted from their property? And of course, a total coincidence that all the fact checkers who are checking these facts, who say everything I just told you is just a coincidence, are also owned and run by BlackRock.
It looks like a present, which it is. This is a cord blood registry kit. CBR is the #1 choice for parents, and it's the most recommended by OBGYNs. CBR is also the largest family newborn stem cell preservation company in the world, helping parents store stem cells from cord blood and cord tissue for their children. But back to my gift. Let's talk about the gift of parenthood. As parents, we do anything to protect our children, from car seats to wearing a helmet on a bicycle to holding hands crossing the street. CBR is another way to potentially help protect them, both during childhood and as they grow up. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to preserve your newborn stem cells from their umbilical cord. And to make this even better, it's quick, easy, and happens right at birth. It's a gift for today and tomorrow. By banking your newborn stem cells now, you may have access to current treatments and future clinical therapies, because science always advances. Bank on CBR for your
Aaron was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker. And you would have to, it was like week 1, you'll do this. Week 2, you're going to have a hamstring injury. Week 3, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Week 4, you're going to get 3 touchdowns. And so then you just have to, did you memorize those before the season started? Or would you go and rehearse the script before every game?
We were really dedicated to it. So it was more so like, that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script. Like, this is what goes on and this is what we have to do in order to,
And this referee is going to miss this call. Because they hate you and they love the Colts, that sort of thing.
WWF, so it's like, you know, we know what's going to happen, but you still got to put on a show.
Yeah.
What did you think when you got the script in 2016 that said your career was going to fall off a cliff when you stopped believing in God?
That was 2015.
Yeah.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Live on Channel 5, this is the 10 o'clock news with Deborah Norville.
coming out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine. Rich Samuels joins us tonight with the story of the controversy behind the book and the author's struggle to write it. Rich?
Deborah, with the rise of Adolf Hitler to power in the spring of 1933, the Jews of the world were faced with a dilemma. They could raise a cry of protest, a cry few would heed, or they could make a deal with Hitler, a deal that would bring a step closer their dream of an independent Jewish state. The choice they made was difficult and agonizing. This new book describes that choice. The book is called The Transfer Agreement. This is Israel a few days ago, the season of Passover. And this is Germany 51 years ago, the blossoming of Adolf Hitler's springtime. A key factor in the vitality of today's Israel, the book's author argues, was an agreement reached in 1933 between a group of Zionists and the man who would later try to kill every living Jew.
The great irony is that Adolf Hitler became the chief economic sponsor of the State of Israel.
It will be an argument against, and a wrong argument against Zionists.
Some who lived through those times fear the response to this book. The parents of the author feared its very writing.
When your son came to you and said he was going to write this book, what were your feelings about his undertaking?
I told him he's not my son anymore.
Why did you say that?
I told him I'm going to 60.
As though he were dead?
That's right.
I told him I don't like it. Because as being a Jew, I didn't want something to uncover on my own people.
I was buried in a grave with 27 people. I was 7 times captured.
Edwin Black's parents are Holocaust survivors.
For what?
My parents never talked much about the Holocaust.
Edwin Black, to fill the void left by the silence of his parents, has written this book, a dense, detailed chronicle of the early months of 1933. January 30th, 1933. Hitler becomes Germany's interim chancellor. The Third Reich has begun. But in this country, on March 4th, attention is diverted by the inauguration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
More power to you, President Roosevelt. The entire country's behind you, thrilled with hope and patriotism.
But ominous headlines tell what's already happening to the Jews of Germany. The protest of American Jews was heard almost immediately. It was based on only the sparsest of press reports, and nowhere was that protest more vocal than here in New York City.
All creeds, local and national organizations, and labor parties are joining this gigantic demonstration passing through famous Washington Arch. Rabbi Stephen S. Wise, honorary president of the American Jewish Congress, leads the procession down Fifth Avenue on foot.
Father arranged for the first great mass meeting at Madison Square Garden to protest Hitlerism. He felt that when freedom was threatened, silence condoned oppression always.
Thousands who waited hours behind police lines rush forward as the doors of Madison Square Garden are open. Jews and Gentiles join in the race for seats, and 22,000 of them get in.
I was a young kid then, you see, as a teenager. And I belonged to a Zionist youth group. And we were all summoned to go to that rally. Well, it was a very agitated crowd. Many Yiddish speaking, a few English speaking. Rabbi Wise mounted an appeal to the Jewish people to do something to save Jewish honor.
Most of the important, well-established Jews were very angry at him, said this was sensationalism, and that if anything happened to the Jews in Germany, the blood of the Jews would be on his head.
Dr. Stephen S. Wise, rabbi of the Free Synagogue and a national leader of liberal thought, speaks in behalf of the Jews of the United States.
This is not a Jewish meeting. This is the conscience of America making itself felt.
influence of Nazi Germany made itself felt 5 days later. Across the Reich, Hitler's troops shut down Jewish-owned businesses for 24 hours. Within days, American Jews marched calling for the boycott of all German exports. Jews throughout Europe echoed that call, so did Jews everywhere. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine. That deal, reported in August 1933, was the transfer agreement. Palestine, sparsely settled by Jews at the time, was radically changed as a result.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936, and we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine. And many new professions were introduced by them into the country, and they played a leading role in making Palestine then a more advanced and progressive country.
Israel is really what it is because of the foundation laid by the Eastern European group, and then the lift toward an educated and well-organized government that came with the immigration of the German Jewish group.
German Jewish settlement of Palestine was, for a time, official Nazi policy. These photos of Jewish life in Palestine, along with a lengthy text, appeared in 1934 in the Berlin paper Der Angriff. The publisher, Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. A medal was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David. Hitler demanded one concession for the transfer agreement, that the call for a boycott of the Reich, raised by Jews here and elsewhere, be rejected by the Zionists. The Zionists made that concession. And so, while Nazis were marching in Germany, and while Jews were marching here, diplomacy was running a more important story. In the Mediterranean, where the dream of a nation-state for Jewish people came a step closer to reality. The story in this book some will find hard to accept.
I still feel the hurt. But after I read it, I said, I'm all with you. Go ahead and write it.
Because everything was exactly what happened, and that's the truth, and you cannot deny it. And the truth must prevail.
And I'm not worried by the people who will find the book in bad taste. The smart people, the intelligent people, the people who went through will understand.
The author is torn between two profound feelings. That he has to be for a Jewish state, and that the silence which his parents have kept, well, he has to retaliate against that silence, and he takes it out on others.
It was a quest. It took me around the world. Financially, it depleted me. Emotionally, it drained me. And as far as my being a Jewish person and understanding my Jewish identity and my relationship to Israel and the Holocaust, it has fulfilled me. It has given me identity.
That he tries to exorcise his own demons by creating ghosts to visit the nights of others is really a very personal drama. And my only hope is that he will not damage the people, the state, and the brethren and sisters whom he proclaims to cherish.
Did you find what you wanted to know?
Yes, I know what happened, and I know why.
The transfer agreement will be available shortly. Macmillan is the publisher. Deborah?
Thanks, Rich. Really interesting.